have a look at this Canyon. So it's the 2021 Spectral Mullet. So it comes as a mullet set up. It's 160 at the front, 150 at the back, I believe. DHX coil, so the new Fox DHX, which is pretty much the new version of the van, I guess, and the Fox version of the Marzocchi Bomber coil. Feels exactly the same as the Marzocchi Bomber, same tune and whatnot, so it feels like it's got the high-speed compression preset too high. So you got to run the low-speed compression all the way open to get any compliance, and then you don't have enough low-speed compression, so you can't really run it where you want. So send that shock off, drop the high-speed compression, and you'll have a killer shock. You'll have a bit of tunability and simple and light, so I like that. Just don't like the current tune. Fox 36 Performance Elite. We got the Grip 2, fresh Grip 2 damper. These are good. These Grip 2s are pretty good. So you got high-speed compression, low-speed compression, high-speed rebound, low-speed rebound. The hardest thing tuning these forks is getting your high-speed rebound in the right spot, because if you got your high-speed rebound too fast, everything else is a compromise. Or I shouldn't say that. It suits a certain setup. So it's if you're going to run a fast high-speed rebound, you got to run a softer spring and more compression. Whereas I prefer to get the suppleness out of the spring, run the high-speed rebound a little slower, and compensate with low-speed rebound and run a little less compression, so I can get that efficient, fast, controlled bike. But each to their own. G5 setup, so a lot of in-house stuff on this bike. We got the G5 bars, grips. The grips actually feel okay. The bars, a little bit of a whack bar roll. Once I rolled it back, they felt pretty good. So you can see the bar roll that I'm running there. It's more or less in line. So if you see that bit there going down, it's basically in line with the sweep of the fork, which is how I run all my bar rolls. But yeah, it just felt a little bit weird. It was harder to get to that point on this G5 than I have with most bars. So G5 stem, obviously. I believe that's a 40mm stem. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's 40. Carbon frame. This might be the strongest carbon frame I've ridden. It's up there with the... when I say strongest, I don't mean impact resistant or it won't break on you. I mean it feels really dense. It feels quite dense. It feels quite strong. It doesn't feel tinny and whack. Most carbon frames I've ridden feel tinny and whack, like ting, 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 and you just get so much feedback through the frame, and it sucks. I don't like most carbon frames at all. This is up there with the Santa Cruz. The Yeti probably felt a little bit lighter and a little bit more tinny than this, but it was still a good frame, relatively. But give me a strong alloy over a carbon any day, especially the Banshee style with the 7005 or whatever it is. Continue on anyway. So this thing's full carbon, front to back. The Cheney's full carbon as well. So plastic head to toe. XT drivetrain, 12-speed. It's good. I indexed it. Runs like a dream. It was jumping gears at the start, but it's fine. 200mm rotors front and rear on X or 203s on XT brakes. I don't know how many times I can say it. These XT brakes are just on another level to the SRAM. They're on another level. They're so much more enjoyable to use. And I liked my RSCs. I don't like my Code Rs. I liked my Code RSCs. They were good, but they're not as good as these. No way. Not a snowflake's chance in hell to keep up with these. The wheels, it comes stock with EX511s. He's got a cush core in the back already. I was going to chuck my wheel on. I've just got a new wheel. I was going to chuck my wheel on, but I'm not going to bother. I'm kind of getting on with the Dissector, but I've only ridden at Moriata and I've only done a few laps. So another chance to give this Dissector another chance, I guess. It's probably going to give me the same characteristic, but we'll see how it goes. It's okay. Downhill, max grip, Assegai, max terror. Yeah, I made sense of it last night. It was okay. I made sense of it. I wouldn't rate it yet, but it was alright. 170 SLX cranks. The crank is, I guess it's stiff enough, feels stiff enough, but I don't like the length. I don't like 170s. It won't be long until every bike comes with a 165 crank unless you specify otherwise. I'm almost sure of that, because there's no reason for our feet to be further apart, like front to back, than they need to be. and there's no need to have less clearance over bumps and stuff on a mountain bike. You know, if you're on a road bike, different game. BMX bike, different game. But yeah, when you're on the mountains, you want clearance. And 165 is easy to pedal. I don't know if it's even easier. I don't know. I won't say it's easier or harder, but I don't find it harder. Ergon, Enduro Comp, it's okay. It's not the most uncomfortable saddle I've ridden on. Feels a little bit narrow, especially for a large bike to come with such a narrow seat. Feels narrow on the booty. And the ridges here push on your sensitive spots on the sides. So I don't like that either. Definitely doesn't compete with the WTB Volt, and it's probably triple the price. So Ergon, not into the saddle. G5 170 dropper. That one seems to be alright. So far so good. Feels good. Lever feels okay. It's just a Shimano lever. It's easy to push. Yeah, it's nice. It's friendly. I've chopped these bars down to 750, and then with the grip, it measures out at 770. So running 770 effectively. What was I going to say? The frame feels good. The frame definitely feels good. I've got my tag pedals, the plastic pedals on here. Feels killer. But riding wise, it needs... I've got it in the high position as well. I got it in the high, so I had it in the low and I was slapping pedals everywhere. 400 spring. Not sure what the how progressive the rear end is, but it feels super progressive. And I'd love a 170 fork. So I've actually got a 170 spring on the way, so I might be able to test this with a 170 spring before I give it back. It's not my bike, just borrowing it, just testing it. Room for a drink bottle, but not really a big drink bottle. So my standard Camelback, which is the newer version of the Camelbacks, doesn't really fit without touching the spring, and it kind of rubs on this bit of the frame a little bit. So small bottle necessary. Got to run like a slightly smaller, but not terrible. It is silent. This bike is silent. There's no bounce. There's nothing from the clutch, from the chain or the derailleur at the back. There's no cable rattle. There's no nothing. It is absolutely silent. It's just the suspension and the tires hitting stuff. So impressed with that. She's a good rig. But it feels like it feels a little bit more trail, which it's a Spectral. It's fair. It feels a little bit more trail than it does, smashing enduro, nice and low at the back and high and slack at the front. Even though it's a 64 head angle, 76 seat angle, in the high position at 64.5, 76.5. Bottom bracket's a little higher in the high, and it actually feels more natural in this high position. So I'm liking it. I just wouldn't mind the front end to be higher, so I can send it a bit more. So I'll leave it in the high position at the back, 170 in the fork. I think it'll be killer. We'll see how it goes.